coin, table. Now science tells us you can't put a solid through another solid. But what it doesn't tell us is that every solid has a weak point. And if you find the weak point, which is about here, you can actually take the coin and move it through the table to your bottom hand. But what if I can do it without touching the coin? So I'll use the glass, and I put this glass just over the coin, so this way I can't touch it. And you know what? I'll even take it one step further. I'll use one of these napkins, and I'm gonna put it over the glass. And now, not only that I cannot touch the coin, I also cannot see it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. The glass is in the way. 1, 2. I just move the glass away, and then when the glass is away, I can just make the coin go through. Hello everyone, this is BenREALters with you again in another episode of TrippingMagic. This one is gonna be different. I'm gonna be talking about a trick, and I'm gonna teach you how it's done. And not only that I'm gonna talk about how it's done, I'm gonna talk about how it fools us and the way it works and why our brains are programmed to be fooled by that. So let's dive right in. The reason I chose this trick is because you can do it practically everywhere. But the more important reason why I picked it is that it actually explains or holds in it one of the most important principles of magic, which is conditioning. Conditioning is a very simple and smart element that magicians use all the time. I'm gonna start off by teaching you the trick, and then we're gonna go into the details of why it works and how technically our brains are instantly fooled. Let's learn. So I'm gonna take you away to the other angle where you can see how it's done. Coin, glass, napkin. You start with the coin, and the principle is very, very easy. Basically, I only use the principle called lapping, where I take the object from the table or from the rim of the table to my bottom hand, or maybe would be my legs if the table was a bit closer. I'm gonna go through this very fast. I'm not gonna go through all the technicalities and all the finesse because I want you to know the basic idea of the technique, and then I'm gonna talk about the psychology of it and how and why it works. So I pick up the coin twice, tap, drag, release. And the third time what I do is when I drag it, I actually don't hold it. So my thumb would be up here and I just swipe it to my other hand waiting over here. So I would go like this, show it, and with my other hand, which is already holding the coin, I tap. 1, 2, 3. So the coin is not here, the coin is already in my other hand, but 1, 2, 3, gone to my other hand. Amazing. Second part, glass. I put the glass on top, I say my mumbo jumbo about why the glass is there. You can make up any excuse you like, really. Do your verbal Krav Maga and I don't know, find an excuse. And again, I put the napkin on. Again, I use an excuse. Basically, I say so that I can't see and so that I can touch and yada yada yada. That sounds logically correct for them. The interesting thing about this is that the napkin kind of gets the shape of the glass even when it's not inside. So this is the principle I'm going to use. What I do is this. I'm going to fail twice. So I go 1, 2, 3, pull back, failure. 1, 2, 3, pull back, failure. And in this second time, what I do is I release the glass to my other hand. So now I'm applying pressure to hold the glass in place. But after the second time, I release the pressure and the glass drops to my other hand. So it would look like 1, 2, 3, failure, 1, 2, 3, failure, and now I release. It drops to my other hand. It's already in my other hand. You can see it here on the bottom And I go again from the bottom, I tap, but again, of course, I do this together. 1, 2, 3, then I say, oh, the glass is in the way, gone, take it away, show the glass has gone through, and then when the glass is out of the way, you can take the coin, also make it go through. You like? You like? Now for the real fun, psychology of the trick. So as I said, the whole magic trick is basically built upon one main principle, which is called conditioning. And like a lot of other psychological principles, magicians have been using this way before scientists had even started wrapping their minds around it. The biggest research done on conditioning is Pavlov's dogs. There's a lot to say about this experiment, but basically he put down the foundations of how conditioning works and the way we could use it. What he did is very simple. He took a bunch of dogs, he fed them, and every time he fed them, he actually rang a small bell, like, and the dogs started connecting the feel of hunger or like expecting the food to the ring of the bell. What happened next was amazing. One day, he rang the bell but didn't serve them any food. And now their mind knows, because it connects the feeling or that sense of ringing the bell to the sense of, oh, I'm gonna get fed, I'm gonna get food now. But they didn't. So they started drooling. They heard the ring, they came to get food, they started drooling because they know they need to get food. This is what they were conditioned to think. By the way, this works on every living creature. Notice your saliva next time you cut yourself a piece of pie. A set of repeated actions creates an assumption about reality that we think about as an inseparable experience, although in reality it is separate. So when in fact we do only one of the actions, our minds complete the image and deduces that actually it's the same action. If you see me lift the coin, knock it on the table, slide it around, and you hear all the clinking and dragging around, and put it back in place and see that it's still there, your mind will naturally assume that the next time I'm gonna pick it up, drag it, knock it, whatever, it's still gonna be there. Although in reality, it isn't. So let's go step by step and see where conditioning exists. The first action I do with a coin is a lift, knock, and drag, and they all have their own unique sounds. I do all this while I'm BSing about the weak spot in the table or whatever you want to say. A lot of attention should be made to the way you pick the coin up. Although it doesn't look significant, it really is. Because the moment I'm going to do the move where I take the coin out and put it in my other hand, like the lapping move, it needs to look exactly the same as all the other times I lift up the coin. So I have to mimic that action perfectly in order to create that perfect illusion. So from the first moment, I condition my audience to know that this is the way I lift up the coin. From the first minute, my spectators know that this is the way I lift up the coin. And not only the sound, also my looks. We are programmed to have a very particular pattern in our looks. So if I move someone from place to place, my looks will go from the place I pick it up, and about halfway, I'm gonna drop my gaze to where I'm gonna place it. So if I'm gonna move my hand from here to here, my gaze will look like this. Did you see that? So midway, I stop looking at my hand and I start looking at the end point. So if you look at the coin, the spectators are gonna think that you have the coin. So I'm gonna lift it up, and once it drops, I'm gonna look up to my hand, although the coin won't be there. Looking at an empty hand is something we're not used to do. So everyone in the first time, they drag the coin and immediately they look down. And don't do that. Once I have the coin in my left hand, I tap the table with my empty hand, and from beneath, I tap it to create the same noise. It's very important to create the same exact conditions as they had seen previously to make that perfect illusion. Even the napkin, which is a crucial part of the illusion, comes along as a challenge. Although it's not a challenge, it's only an excuse. I need it. I can't do the illusion without it. Same goes for the glass. I use the glass as an excuse for the coin, but in reality, the coin is an excuse for the moment I drop the glass to the table. When adding the glass to the table, we're adding this new thing called framing, because my audience now knows that there is a object, the coin, that they need to follow, and another object which is not as important, the glass. When in reality the glass is the most important thing here. Now the audience is going to look closely on the coin because he thinks that the coin is going to go through, because it already went through once, so they have a reason to believe it's going to go through a second time. On the other hand, when I put the glass on, I fail twice. This creates this contrast of where they're not sure it's gonna happen, and it creates attraction. They are attracted to know what's gonna happen, because now they're anticipating the coin to go through. They're gonna look very, very close at the coin, which creates the perfect misdirection to take the glass through the table. Now, once the glass is gone through the table, I'm in a problematic situation, because my audience expects me to move the coin through the table again under the glass, but I can't really do it. The best part of the trick is already done. What do I do now? Do I finish here? So the peak is already behind us, and the only thing I can do to keep that promise is to maybe take the coin through again. That puts me in another situation that's called anticlimax. It basically means that the latest climax is not as strong as the previous one, and it creates like a tension. I'm interrupting the graph of anticipation and amazement in the spectator's minds. We make the coin go through, we make the glass go through, now what? The audience has a conflict that isn't solved. There's a few possibilities to solve it. Sometimes I even go one step further and I crunch up the napkin to a small ball and move that too through the table, which is a cool thing and a cool idea, but this takes all the trick and moves it to a category of things going through tables, which takes all the attention away from the glass, which is the most amazing part. I'm still experimenting with different endings to this trick. If you had magic powers, what would you do? Leave me a comment on the section down below and tell me what are your ideas. Interesting? I think this is the most fascinating part of magic. It's the most important ingredient in creating a successful illusion. I hope you like it. Maybe it gave you some food for thought about other areas in your life you're conditioned to think about in a particular manner. If you did like it, please consider subscribing and sending it to a friend who might enjoy this kind of content. It will really help me out and I would very much appreciate it. I will see you next time.